everyone. Welcome back to the Midwest Fresh Podcast. I am Callie Estrada.
And Erica Bowler.
And we have a very special guest today. We have got Mr. Fayola. Can you pronounce your last name?
Come on.
I can't.
It's Oyatayo.
Oyatayo.
Oyatayo, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to have to put that phonetically in my phone. I always call him Mr. Wichita or like the Ryan Seacrest of Wichita. I feel like you're just everywhere,
Thank you.
doing everything. So kind of tell us about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, great introduction, by the way. I love that. I always start off with, whenever I speak anywhere, I start off with a joke that there's a university. I played college basketball in Sterling College, so small university. Have you guys heard of Sterling College?
Uh-huh.
You guys heard of it? Okay, cool. Are you familiar with it, Erica?
Yeah, I've been out to Sterling.
Okay, yeah. So there's a small university out there, and I play basketball there. So like, I have a difficult last name, as you guys saw. So every time they introduce me, they say,
Oh, no.
starting 6'4" from Dallas, Texas, Fayola. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is what I got one time. So, Fayola. And they said my first name twice. Literally, it's like, yeah. So Oyatayo, Nigerian. So Fayola means God has put joy in your prosperity.
Oh, I love that.
Right. And I always started off by saying, I'm a joyous person, and I believe that through sticking with my name, God has also made me prosperous. Right. Not only in just relationships, but in everything, health, right, life, family, all of that. So, born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada. Right. And then moved to Dallas, Texas for high school. Played college basketball at Sterling, Kansas. Majored in economics and finance. Then also did some political science stuff. Spent a couple summers in D.C. My whole goal was to be a financial advisor and then one day go into politics. That was my plan. COVID happened. And this is kind of just the quick story, but ended up taking a leap of faith just on myself and saying, what do I love to do? And what I love to do is have deep, intentional conversations, right? And it's a really interesting thing to like, a lot of people say, I love to paint, I love to play basketball, I love to, love to sell. But for me, it was like, I just love to talk to people, but do it in an intentional way. So I got 3 random guys and I said, hey, you guys all have videos, you guys all have cameras. Can you guys help me start a talk show? Not a podcast, right? But a talk show. I wanted to actually be like lifestyle. So I got 3 guys in the pandemic. And I always tell people like, how crazy is it that I started a talk show in a pandemic where the disease is literally spread by talking to people, right? It doesn't make any sense, but I just did it. First episode was in May of 2020. Then the second episode was in June. Third episode in July was with the chief of police. And it was during the Black Lives Matters movement. And that's whenever the episode just kind of took off. The show took off. From there, ended up getting a full-time sponsor to cover all the costs of the show. And then that's kind of where I guess Mr. Wichita, right, was born. That's why I really started believing that I can be a brand myself. Started representing a lot of different brands, and I'm sharing the whole story, but I'm sure you guys have questions. So yeah, go ahead.
Well, people always ask like, what does Fayola do? And I'm like, be Fayola?
I don't
know.
Yeah. So the way I describe it is that like, I get paid to be me, which is super awesome, right?
Yeah.
And in a city like Wichita, that's kind of it's not really common. Nobody really hears about that. Normally people have jobs at whether it's Coke Industries or Cargill or whatever it is, and jobs are all great. Just for me, it's like I'm not a 9-to-5 guy. And I realized that. And for me, it's like I can either fit into this mold of trying to be a 9-to-5 guy, or I can do what makes me happy. When I realized that what makes me happy is not what everybody in Wichita is doing. I took a risk. I took like a leap of faith on myself. So whenever anybody asks me what I do, I just say, hey, I have a talk show. I have my full-time production team that creates all my content. And then I partner with brands. So I literally get paid to be me, which is super awesome. Yeah.
And promote like spreading information and promoting. I mean, it seems like all the best things that Wichita has to offer.
Yeah.
So
wherever
there's something good going on, there you are. And and you're doing the football thing now.
I am. With
that's
KU.
exciting.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I'm the official in-game host for the Kansas Athletics, so the KU Sports, which is pretty cool. They never had a host before. Ever. So it was their first year.
Oh, wow. So you'll be doing basketball as well?
So we're trying to figure out contract stuff for basketball. It's such a big program right now that like we're just kind of taking it step by step. But as of now, I'm doing football. I think there might even be some women's basketball. Nice. Maybe even some baseball they're even talking about. But basically with how these things go, you just have to like kind of just take it day by day because there can be a thing where the athletic director says yes and then like some donor says no. So we're just figuring it out. Right now, everybody's focused on football. Right. We started out 5-0. Which is big for KU. We had College Game Day come in, the first time ever College Game Day has come to KU. It's been a really big year. So right now they're focused on football. We're only halfway through the season, so maybe around week 12 or 13 we'll figure out what basketball looks like.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if that was in the conversation yet, since they kind of started. They had Night at the Fog, which is kind of like the launch of basketball.
Exactly right.
So I just didn't know if that was in the conversation. That'd be really awesome, though.
We're excited. And two, with how busy I am and how much I travel, we're also trying to figure out my end if basketball even makes sense for me.
Yeah.
Right. So I can't make an announcement, and it'll come out later on next week. When's this podcast come out?
Friday.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can make the announcement. So I will be the official in-game host, first host ever for WSU Basketball.
Shut up.
Yeah. You guys heard it here first, right?
Yay!
Applause. Yeah. So that's kind of the part of the reason why I take things day by day, right? In this walk where I'm the brand, I can't sign something for next year of June, right? I can't do that. My thing is day by day. So whatever comes, I pray about it. I say, God, is this where you want me to align? So right now the alignment is like WSU Basketball, right? That traveling back and forth to when I go to Lawrence, I mean, that's a whole day and a half that's gone for me, right? I mean, in a day and a half I can do, today I have this podcast. I had a meeting earlier, right? And then I have 2 or 3 things after that. If I'm in Lawrence, I can't do those things here in Wichita, right? So KU basketball will be great, but I got to make sure it aligns. So hopefully we can knock out a couple games out there in Lawrence.
Hopefully we can start duplicating you.
Right. Just clone me.
I think we need 3.
Yeah.
I think 3 would be good.
Seriously.
I think Kara might jump off a bridge if that were to happen. I think you're probably.
We'll stick with 3.
You're enough for her.
Right. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of the other things that you're currently working on? So you have KU football.
Yeah. KU football, WSU basketball. I have my own talk show, right? It's called Face to Face, and basically it's a wordplay, right, on face to face. And what face to face is basically, it's just like we have sit down conversations at restaurants or gyms or churches, at somebody's office, and it's just highlighting some really, really cool people, and not just Wichita, but it's across the country now. So next month, early December, going to Austin, Texas to interview Kendra Scott herself, Scott, and the CEO of Kendra Scott. Awesome. Which is really cool, right? So I'm traveling all across the country now for this talk show, and it's been a blessing. So with that, there's also some brands here in Wichita that I've been able to represent, Chicken and Pickle, Doc Green. So I'm kind of their brand spokesperson. So what that means is like anytime they have a big event, big announcement, just a cool thing going on, then they'll just say, hey, Faye, we have this. Chicken and Pickle has their big snowbound thing every year. Hey, Faye, we have snowbound this year. Create some fire content. Make a mini commercial. Let's see what you can do with it. So that's kind of what it is, yeah. So if I'm not interviewing somebody, then I'm kind of shooting a commercial to kind of, or shooting some content to represent somebody's brand. And if not that, then the last thing I do is like I love creating. I'm a creator, right? So I love producing content for my clients all the way from people that do real estate stuff, people that do fashion. So there are a lot of times that I create content for people that nobody even knows I was a part of it, just because I love being a creative director. So my camera guys will kind of take my lead, take my vision, and we'll create something for Paul Gray Homes is one of my bigger clients, and he just has these beautiful houses that he builds, and we just create all the content. Oh, you saw that? Okay, yeah. So
nice.
So we create all the content for Paul Gray Homes, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that. Yeah.
When you have conversations, you were talking about you're going to talk to Kendra Scott. Where do you have any direction in mind? Do you think about it ahead of time?
That's a great question.
What do you want to know? Because you said you like to talk to people. So what are you trying to? That's
a great question. Yeah. So I had to realize that the skill set didn't come from planning. It came from me just being be so passionate, being authentic, and letting the questions come in real time. So people like my mom or my girlfriend who are very organized, that drives them crazy, right? Because I don't think I'm the biggest planner, but I've known that God has given me a gift in question asking. So I go into things almost blind a lot of times, because if I plan, I don't really leave space for, and I get spiritual with this, but I don't leave space for the Spirit to flow. Right. So sometimes I go into it by planning. And I'm just like, that was a very average interview. And there's sometimes where I'll just go into it and the interview is at 10 a.m. and I hadn't planned anything until like 9:55. And I'm just like, F it, I'm just going to go in blind. And sometimes it's one of my best interviews, because that's just like the true skill set comes from being like just by being me, by not trying to plan me. So
Kara's
so Kara told me she's gonna be on this podcast pretty soon, right? So that's awesome. So Kara was like, I already listened to a couple of their podcasts and I'm already prepared for my questions. And she was like, I know you know nothing about that. she goes, you're probably just gonna go in there blind. And I was like, yeah, I'm going in there blind. I'm just gonna let the questions. But people have their like planning for Kara might make this podcast amazing, right? She's gonna listen to questions. She knows your style. She knows all about. For me, if I would have tried to listen and all that, it probably would have limited me. I like to be free.
Yeah. I think that's how we like to do it too, is kind of like obviously like the who are you, what do you do, but also like kind of like going with the flow on what you're saying and like working off of that kind of becomes the most genuine connection or conversations.
Agreed.
Is when you're not just like, here's my list of questions, let's only stick to those. Like it's actually like working off of each other.
Oh yeah. Agreed.
So you keep kind of talking about like faith, and one of like your things that you do almost every weekend is you're the drummer at Life Church in Derby, right?
Yeah. So all 3 locations. Yeah. I'm a float drummer. Yeah. So anytime they need me, I just kind of go and hop around.
Do you play any other instruments other than drums?
No, drums. And I don't really even mention drums much like publicly because like that's like the secret hobby. I feel like everybody has to have that one thing that they're just like, no matter if they pay you or not, if it's 1,000 people or it's 10 people, that you really just, give back to. And that's drums.
It's a passion.
That's drums. Yeah, drums is a passion. I've been playing since I was like 8 or 9 years old, like back in Vegas. And I was playing in Dallas. And Sterling College, we had this thing called ministry teams. We would play the drums at different schools and churches in Kansas. So we would travel, and I just really enjoyed playing the drums. So yeah, man, I with how busy I am and how much I travel, I told myself, no matter what, Fayola, I don't care if you become The Rock one day, you're still gonna give back by playing the drums. It's just the weirdest thing ever. Like God told me that specifically. Like no matter what, you have to give back by playing the drums. So that's just like a commitment that I've just committed to. I'm not the best drummer out there. I'm not, but I know that I have energy. I can keep a beat, right? I play for some small bands and all that stuff. So I'm just letting God flow with that anointing of drums. And I'm just accepting it wherever it takes. So I did not think I'd be playing for the biggest church in Wichita. I didn't think that at all. But like it just doors opened, and now I'm doing that. Yeah,
that's awesome. So have you always been this way, talking to people, or was there a time you just came out of your shell?
That's a great question. I love that question. Part of me, to make the story sweeter, like, on podcasts, I always say like, no, I wasn't this way. And, in 2020, everything blew up. But to be real with you, my mom reminded me of this. And even Kara, she was like, hey, you have been this way, but you were never just full time this way until 2020. You have been this way. So, I mean, I was almost on Disney Channel at 13, 14 years old. Okay. Right. And then but I remember planning really, really big events and being on the mic when I was in high school. I had one of the biggest Sweet 16 parties in my high school. Right. So I realized that I've always kind of been this way, but there was something in me, I think maybe just for the sweeter story, that it was like I just came out in 2020, but it was like, nah, I really kind of have been this way, but it was unfortunately it was being stifled by by me trying to conform to like, I gotta go 9 to 5, I gotta get my master's degree, I have to. Man, it got so dark, ladies, that it got to the point where like I was like almost seeing a doctor because I was like, what's going on with my mental? Like I'm going to work. I was working at a bank, and the bank was amazing. They have a great culture and all. I was working at a bank, and I was like, I am not happy at all. But I'm doing everything right to be happy, right? I'm sleeping well, reading the Bible, I'm getting my workouts, and I'm eating well. It wasn't like I was like doing anything that might make me happy. Like I was truly, but the second I got into the office at 8:45, right, by 8:54, I was sleeping.
Where did you work at 8:45?
Right,
start time.
It was. I mean, I think I had to be there by 9, so it was like 8:55 or whatever. It was Emprise Bank, and I was just like, I'm getting sleepy. What's going on here? It started affecting my mental. It was like the second I walked in those doors, it was like just a gloomy cloud. But it's crazy. The second I walked out, I was happy. I was good. So I always tell people like I worked that 9 to 5, but after that I worked, you've heard the 5 to 9, where it's around I got home, I was working on my other stuff. But really what stifled it was a 9 to 5, right? I only got to work 4 hours a day on me when God wanted me to work my whole entire life on me. Like every single part of the day should have been just me and God. What am I doing today? So there are a lot of times where I wake up in the morning, it'll be Tuesday morning, and I'll say, I don't know what to do today. And it's the craziest thing. I'll just pray. I'm like, God, what do you want me to do? And he'll be like, go ahead and reach out to that brand. Go ahead and post this video. I'm like, okay. And I'll post that video. Next thing you know, I'll get a DM that says, hey, we just saw you post that Kendra Scott video. Can we fly you out to Austin to interview our CEO?
Wow. That's so cool.
It's like I didn't even know that wasn't my plan to even post that, right? So a lot of times too, I don't even content plan. I just whatever flows. And I'm organized. I have an assistant. I'm organized for the most part. But a lot of those bigger things, I just say, hey, God's gonna flow in it, whatever. You know, and that's not my advice to everybody. So please, that's not my advice. But for me, it works.
You mentioned politics that you had previously, and you were in DC. Is that something still potentially future radar for someone?
He looks like he's holding back a secret.
Well, this is the thing. My girlfriend told me, she was like, Fayola, she goes, you're going to get asked this question a lot for politics. She was like, you have to promise me that you won't ever. So you have to make sure you ask her about the politics thing when she comes on. But she doesn't want me to, right? And I know that's a very dangerous world, right?
It can be very toxic.
It can be very toxic.
Especially
it can be very toxic.
in, like,
your life is already open. Yeah, your life is very, very open. It's already open now for what I do, but it'll even get opened up more. Like people in high school will try and get, you know, like, I mean, especially how high in politics you'll go to, but everything gets brought out. Nothing that I have anything hiding, but just like your whole life is just on the table right there. So I don't know. I have to see where I'm at family wise, right? If I'm married, if I have kids and all that, only because
that whole marriage.
Yeah, right. This one. Man, I don't know. What was that? But you know, I gotta really make sure it aligns with my family, you know, first. So if I was single forever, I'm going to politics. I'm figuring it out. But right now,
president.
Come on. What would it be, 2028? When am I eligible? Is it 20? You gotta be 40 years old, right? I think you have to be like a certain age to be president.
Screw that.
Right? I don't know. I spent 2 summers in D.C. on the Hill. I was interning for Senator Bill Nelson and then Congressman Molinar for a little bit. So I enjoyed the Hill. It was a fun space. I enjoyed it. I like politics. I do.
Yeah. It seems like you could do a lot of good work there too. So it is that like balance.
It is.
I've thought about that too. I'm like, well, once, you know, I get further along, kids are grown, blah, blah, blah. What's the biggest impact you can have? And I don't know if that's the way anymore. I'm getting a little jaded, but
I don't know either. I don't know.
But that's awesome. I do think that's it's needed. Good, strong minds.
Agreed.
What is the next step to grow the Fayola brand? What is like your dream?
I think for all the things that I've done, it's been by myself for the most part. What I mean by that is like I didn't go through a news station and then be a reporter and the news station was like, hey, Faye, we're gonna have your own segment and you're gonna be your own talk show. It was like I started this thing by getting 3 random guys in the city of Wichita and I started making the talk show on social media, right? Hosting events, right? Like a lot of times when like big organizations need a host, they go to your local radio stations and they say, hey, you're the host of a hip hop station. Can you come out and host this big taco event? Or they go to the local radio TV network and they get a host from there. Like I'm the first host from what I know, and nothing against those hosts. Those hosts are great, but like I'm the first host that like didn't go through a news station. It was all on my own. So you asked a great question. This is the long answer to that. It's like, I think it'd be really cool for a station, whether it's NBC, Netflix, Hulu, whatever it is that says, hey, we saw that you did this, but we're looking you up, but like we don't know what organization you were a part of. For you to kind of be self-made like this, like we want to give you your own Netflix talk show. We want to give you your own Hulu talk show. And I think that aligns. I think that makes sense. I mean, y'all are shaking y'all's head like y'all are Netflix producers and y'all would do that for me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Netflix, we're waiting for your call.
I think it right. So I mean, I think it makes. I think that'd be the next step, right? Like I said, everything that I did was all through faith, right? There was no degree. Like I don't know the last time I sent my resume out. Right, even for KU, we're talking about KU, University of Kansas, right? The biggest school for basketball, and they're 5-0, right? College game day has never gone there, right? To be a host there, 55,000 people, you have to make sure that you're skilled to do that, right? And they didn't look at the resume. All they said was, "We see what you're doing. We want you." Just like that. So why can't Netflix do that, right? Why can't Hulu? I think that would be the next step. I think it makes sense, right? I've interviewed some really, really big celebrities already, right? So like, it's not like I will get starstruck by having Chris Rock right across the table from me. Like I know what it would take to ask the right questions to really get some deep and intentional answers from those people.
Who's your dream guest, dead or alive?
It's a phenomenal question.
Good question.
Everybody says it, but I feel like my interview would be different with him. I think The Rock would be awesome.
That would be.
I think The Rock. Yeah, I think
The
him
Rock
and
and Kevin Hart
yeah,
in you?
Yeah, maybe both. But there's something about The Rock that just like
He has a crazy story.
His story is different. I can relate to him.
Yeah.
I can relate. So I think The Rock would be my just one-on-one with The Rock. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah. Come on.
We're gonna put in a good word for Netflix and Hulu.
Come on.
It's gonna be keeping up with Fayola.
right. Come on. Or even, I mean, I like the word face to face. Let's keep that thing going, right?
Yeah.
Face to face, right? Kevin Hart had heart to heart.
Heart to heart,
right?
yeah.
So I think that kind of flows real well with face to face. Yeah.
We love it. We love you. I just want to say real quick before we're done. The first time I met you, I was just like, yeah, who's this guy? I think he thinks he's a big shot. And then I met you, and I was like, Callie, he's just the energy.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
you just
that.
Can't deny it. You're just great for the city. You're just a great person. And so thank you so much for coming in.
Well, I got a question. I'm talking about the goal for this podcast. How can I help you guys? How can we help each other?
Oh man.
Did you guys just start?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're just getting it going.
We just uploaded episode 3.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love
Just
that.
getting going.
Okay. And the goal is to do what? What's the goal?
I think it's to like bring people on that are, small business owners, community leaders, and just like inspire people and collaborate.
That.
I think every podcast we're like, let's do this.
I
or
love
like,
that.
we always have something.
with our podcast with Francis, is a big investor, like real estate investor in Wichita. We're like talking about like a mastermind, and we're like, that's happening.
Done.
Wow.
So like, it's just kind of like getting the energy off of each other and like just collaboration and inspiring other people in Wichita to get out there and show their best self.
Podcasts aren't easy. How are you guys going to stay consistent? Have you guys talked about that? It's not easy.
Yeah.
A lot of people do 5 episodes and they say, I'm not really loving it anymore. What are you guys' thoughts so far?
We're holding each other accountable.
Yeah.
I push her, she pushes me.
Good.
So that's
Next step is looking for sponsorships.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, that's
Cool.
kind of our next thing that we're looking for. So.
And off the camera, we can talk about that because from a Wichita Life show, that was our other talk show we had, and then face to face, I've been able to land 2 big sponsorships now. So I've been able to, help others, kind of form a package and kind of, sell yourself with it. So
Yeah.
I'd love to help you guys out with that.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome. This has been a blessing.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
so much.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate it.
All right, and thank you everyone for listening to our podcast today. If you want to find Faye, he's pretty much on any social media. Just look up Fayola, like Google him. It's just like his face everywhere, so you can find him there. And we will see you guys on the next episode.
Yep. Thank you.
Boom. Let's go.